Hello, and welcome to this World Federation of Music Therapy resource about the development of music therapy in various countries. We received several inquiries about people asking how does music therapy develop in countries, or asking for help about how to develop music therapy within their country. This resource will provide a brief bit of information regarding how music therapy has developed in a few countries around the world, and it will direct you to some resources where you can find additional information on the topic. I am Dr. Anita Gadberry. I'm the World Federation of Music Therapy Public Relations Chair, and I want to introduce this topic by reminding us that it is very complex. If you think about different countries around the world, there are similarities and differences. Let's focus on four things that could be similar or very different in various countries. Culture, of course, is a large group of differences and similarities. Government systems will have a role in how music therapy develops within the country. Healthcare systems, and also how health is viewed within the country. And education and training differs among countries. Available to you at the World Federation of Music Therapy website are the following articles that have been published within recent years that discuss music therapy development around the world. So go to www.wfmt.info to find these publications. At this point, I'd like to draw your attention to South Korea. I asked Dr. Jin Lee to give us a description of how music therapy was developing within this country. He was kind enough to write back and include a synopsis of what is happening. I would like to share it with you because I think it points out the differences in culture, government, and education and how they impact the development of music therapy in a country. So at this point, I'm going to read what Dr. Lee wrote regarding South Korea and the development of music therapy. In this synopsis, I would like to depict a brief history and development of music therapy in South Korea and describe the challenges that we have been facing and how we are tackling them. Up until the 1990s, several music practitioners who did not have a formal training in music therapy applied music in their clinical work with individuals with various disabilities or illnesses. By mid-90s, a handful number of music therapists who were trained in America or European countries returned to Korea, began practicing, leading workshops, and teaching introductory courses in music therapy in various settings. In 1997, 3 universities opened formal degree programs in music therapy, all at the master's level. Consequently, the first graduates trained in these programs came out and began practicing in the early 2000s, and the number of music therapists trained in Korea increased rapidly as more universities opened degree programs. A large proportion of these music therapists first worked with children who had developmental disabilities at welfare centers, rehabilitation centers, schools with special education programs, and private clinics. However, this trend has been shifting slowly as therapists began creating jobs elsewhere, such as in medical rehab, general schools, and hospitals. With this development, more than one music therapy associations were formed to promote music therapy by publishing research studies and organizing conferences. For these events, a number of international scholars in music therapy were invited to Korea. Currently, the number of degree programs in music therapy has increased to 14 master's and 3 bachelor degree programs nationwide. One challenge that we faced as a profession was moving forward together with the non-trained music practitioners who pioneered the clinical use of music in Korea. Unfortunately, there had not been a mutually agreeable solution, and this led to several non-degree, short-term training programs in music therapy that were coordinated by these practitioners. Consequently, other issues have risen, including multiple music therapy credentials issued by numerous private organizations. Increased difficulty in finding jobs as the non-degree practitioners were willing to work at a lower salary, inappropriate representation of music therapy by inadequately trained music practitioners, and so forth. In response to this, Formerly trained music therapists nationwide gathered together to form a unified association called the National Association of Korean Music Therapists. This was in 2007. The association established a single professional credential entitled Korean Certified Music Therapist, KCMT, collaborated with music therapy degree programs in setting a higher standard for academic and clinical training programs, implemented continuing music therapy education programs for KCMTs on an ongoing basis, and conducted numerous outreach programs to better educate the public about music therapy. In addition, the first 3 schools that started master's programs in music therapy now also offer the PhD degree. And Korean music therapists are actively involved in conducting research studies, which are often published in Korean Journal of Music Therapy and Journal of Music and Human Behavior, both of which are registered with the Korea Citation Index. Currently, Korean music therapists are faced with a new challenge as we are seeking to promote music therapy as a recognized profession by the Korean government and the medical community. Because South Korea has a national health insurance system, creating programs either funded or approved by the insurance program and the medical community will expand the job opportunities for music therapists, which may also set rigorous qualification standards for music therapists. Thus, Korean music therapists are arranging meetings with lawmakers, pursuing government-funded research projects, and collaborating with other healthcare specialists. Dr. Lee goes on to say, although we have much work ahead of us, I feel that we have set a good example for other countries that are also in an actively developing stage, and I deeply hope to collaborate internationally to conquer these challenges together and serve more people through music. As you will note per the slide, Dr. Lee provided 2 references to go along with his synopsis. And on the behalf of the World Federation of Music Therapy, thank you so much, Dr. Lee, for providing the information and unique history of music therapy in South Korea. I would like to go now to Europe and talk about a few countries there. In Europe, the United Kingdom, Austria, and Latvia are all regulated by the government. The United Kingdom and Latvia are regulated along with other professions in addition to music therapy, while Austria has a standalone law regulating music therapy. Later in this presentation, you will see a video about the development of music therapy in the United Kingdom. Austria was one of the first European countries to establish music therapy and had its first music therapy training course in Vienna in 1959. The music therapy law came into place in 2009 after many years of efforts to gain national recognition. It is now a legally regulated health profession in Austria. The country of Latvia is also regulated in music therapy. In this country, music therapy training started in 2003 and it gained legal status in 2009. You can read more about Austria and Latvia in these 2 articles that are referenced on your slide. The resources that are out there regarding development of music therapy in various countries point to 2 things that help the development of music therapy and then eventually the national recognition of music therapy as a healthcare profession. The first is the educational programs. There's an article in the journal Approaches which talks about how the United Kingdom and Austria have the oldest training programs in Europe and are the first to gain national regulation. Also, in the article about Poland, that you'll see referenced on your screen, this article talks about how setting up education and continuing education requirements will help establish the profession of music therapy. I encourage you to check out this special issue of the journal Approaches, Music Therapy and Special Education. It provides a wealth of information about music therapy development around the world. In the next few slides, you will have the opportunity to watch a video from the World Federation of Music Therapy Regional Liaison for Europe, Ms. Angela Harrison. She gives information about how music therapy developed in the United Kingdom. You will also see a video from the Certification Board for Music Therapists, Representative Kimberly Senna Moore, who talks about music therapy recognition processes in the United States of America. And finally, you will find some contacts for World Federation of Music Therapy Council members should you wish to provide information or ask questions about this presentation.
Hello, my name's Angela Harrison. I'm the Regional Liaison for Europe for the World Federation of Music Therapy. That means that I have 54 countries with whom to liaise and to make connections. The country with which I'm most familiar is the UK. I live and work in northern England in a very rural setting. Just to put this into context, there are over 64 million people living in the UK and just over 700 music therapists qualified and able to community. So we still have a long way to go. The profession was really started in the UK in the late 1950s, around about the time I was playing with rattles and shakers as a baby. The Society for Music Therapy and Remedial Music was founded by some of the very early pioneers. This was a society which provided introductory courses, bulletins for members, and access to a library. Subcommittees were immediately established to consider the structure and requirements for entry to a training course for music therapists. In the 1960s, the Society's name changed to the British Society for Music Therapy, and a one-year postgraduate diploma course was offered by the Guildhall School of Music and Drama in London. By the 1970s, more trainings were established, the Nordoff and Robbins training in London, and the Association of Professional Music Therapists was created to be a professional body to provide membership with support, professional codes of ethics and practice, guidance and regulation for the music therapists in the UK. Over the next couple of decades, more trainings were established. In the 1980s, Leslie Bunt was awarded the first degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Music Therapy, and the Journal of British Music Therapy was initiated. I trained on the first MA training at Anglia Polytechnic, it's now Anglia Ruskin University in Cambridge, and the profession was formally ratified by the government and recognised at the end of the 1990s. We are now regulated by the Health and Care Professions Council, and once we have completed an MA training, it's a legal requirement for us to register with the Health and Care Professions Council. If people are practicing and calling themselves music therapists without being registered, they are subject to legal action and a fine. What else can I tell you about music therapy in the UK? A great number of publications have emanated from the UK. There's a great emphasis on research and evidence-based practice. I don't know, it's flourishing. I had the honour, really, of taking over the chair of the Association of Professional Music Therapists a few years ago and overseeing the merging of both the British Society and the Association of Professional Therapists to create a new body, the British Association for Music Therapy. That is now our professional body, but it's also very much outward looking to those people who are our clients or who might be our clients, to let them know just how powerful music therapy can be and how they can access the services of a music therapist when, as you've heard, we are so very thin on the ground in this country. I hope you found this helpful. Please do get in touch if you want to know anything more about music therapy, particularly in the UK. And I hope you very much enjoy the rest of your conference. Thanks for listening.
Music therapists in the United States are trained to meet national education, clinical training, and credentialing requirements. The education and clinical training requirements are established by the American Music Therapy Association, or AMTA, and the credentialing program is administered by the Certification Board for Music Therapists, or CBMT. However, Given the governmental structure in the United States, access to healthcare and education services are based on state level, not national, recognition. Thus, AMTA and CBMT are cooperating on a joint national initiative to establish formal state recognition of the music therapy profession and the MTBC credential required for competent practice in all 50 states. State recognition refers to the official acknowledgement of a particular profession, in our case music therapy, by a state. Establishing this serves two functions. 1. It allows clients and their families to more easily access music therapy services as determined by state agencies which require a state-recognized service provider. 2. It protects the public from potential harm or misrepresentation by individuals who are not board-certified music therapists and are not practicing under the scope of music therapy practice. There are generally two types of recognition structures. Through the first, music therapy can be recognized by the state through passing legislation that creates occupational regulation. There are several types of regulatory structures, including title protection, registration, state certification, and licensure. Through the second option, music therapy can be added to the list of recognized service providers for a particular agency by being written into that agency's administrative code. The key to the success of this plan are the music therapists who serve on state task forces. As of May 2016, there are 44 states with task forces in place that are at various stages in research and advocacy as they work towards professional recognition. Specific tasks and action items vary, but may include identifying where music therapy is currently listed in state regulations, building a grassroots network of supporters that can include parents, colleagues, and administrators, developing and nurturing relationships with legislators and other key decision makers, and educating legislators and state agency officials about music therapy and the MTBC credential. Task forces work in cooperation with the national team of Judy, Dina, Kimberly, and Maria in order to complete the initial setup of the task force, determine what research needs to be completed, and choose the best course of action and advocacy for that particular state. The involvement of AMTA and CBMT representatives is designed to provide support and guidance for those working at the state level, as well as legal counsel and historical context when applicable. As of May 2016, there are 9 states in which music therapy is formally recognized. The State Recognition Operational Plan has led to the creation of music therapy licensure programs in 6 states, a state certification program, and title protection. In addition, the amount of state legislative activity continues to increase. In 2016 alone, there were 12 states that introduced and advocated for legislation to create a form of occupational regulation for the music therapy profession. Music therapists are increasing their efforts to educate legislators, policymakers, and other key decision makers about music therapy and the importance of allowing consumers the option to access music therapy as a healthcare and education treatment option. For more information about the State Recognition Operational Plan, music therapy advocacy initiatives, and policy priorities, we invite you to visit the advocacy and policy pages for the American Music Therapy Association and the Certification Board for Music Therapists.